Soldier, wake up! There's a war! God, I gotta get my uniform on, I gotta get my gun, I've gotta get my... Wait, what are you two doing over there? It's only been 38 minutes. War's over, mate! Ended the whole thing in 38 minutes. Me and my buddy are playing board games with our soul. But who could end a war in 38 minutes? Who would end a war so quickly? And why did it only take 48 minutes? Subscribe to find out. Let's get into the video. So, the Anglo-Zanzibar War, or the 38 Minutes War, you guys are in for a real treat. So, where to start our story? How about Great Britain abolished slavery after the slave owners were paid off and they didn't want to look like homicidal, murderous maniacs. But Zanzibar's primary export was slavery. So the British, they were like, we need a solution to this because this is a really strategic port for controlling African trade. And well, things got crazy. At first they just put up a blockade to stop the goods from coming in and out. But the blockade, it didn't last forever. And so, the king was like, please, general, please make this go away. And it was like, alright, hopped on a boat, took 5 military boats down to Zanzibar by the palace. But to understand that, you have to understand the interests of Zanzibar. You see, Britain is all about putting puppet presidents in play. And they needed a sultan that aligned with their interests. There was this one sultan who aligned with British interests, and this other sultan aligned with slavery. The sultan who was aligned with slavery was turned down by the British before this conflict even got started. Before. So he wasn't about to lose his birthright to the throne this time. So, barricades themselves in the Paris, and the British send an emissary and they say, by 9 o'clock, we will be at war. Guys you're not going to shoot me, I'm too tough. Turns out the guy was full of S. So, basically what you saw there was the British ships getting ready for a bombardment. The native peoples of the kingdom, they had a machine gun and a converted battle yacht. The British had 5 warships. Are you starting to understand why this only took 38 minutes? The British artillery, this was close to the 19th century, so they had post-Crimea weapons. The British artillery demolished everything. The boat, the machine gunners, the town, and then this is just my personal headcanon, it didn't actually happen. But I'd like to imagine someone from Zanzibar said, no more, you surrender, no more. Yeah, because there were thousands of casualties on the Zanzibar side. Keep in mind, these people were backing a sultan that was trying to preserve slavery. So out of all the wars that Britain has been in, this is one of the very few that I can actually excuse as them being on the right side of history. Because they're trying to end slavery and well, that's the end result. They're not trying to resolve slavery, they're trying to get a port. But basically, the Anglo-American port was a very dangerous place to be. Basically, what happened is 38 minutes the war started at 9:02. The war ended at 9:40, hence the 38 minutes war. And what's even crazier, the British, they got their port back. Slavery was abolished in Zanzibar. The Sultan was exiled to the same island Napoleon was sent to. And well, basically, slavery was abolished in the region, and I hope it will never return. Now, what can we take from this catastrophe and apply to our everyday lives? Maybe that military power can be used in violent and destructive ways. Maybe we could take from it that maybe we should not let other people influence us. Or maybe even we should just think sometimes history is more complicated than most people realize. History is an interconnected web, not a timeline. Everything feeds into each other. You understand that once you learn enough history. And the story to be learned about this is a lot. Maybe the British will shell you no matter what you do unless you surrender to them. Maybe that some battles are just beyond us. Maybe that you shouldn't be an idiot sultan who gets his own people killed, or listen to an idiot sultan who gets his own people killed. But in short, the 38 Minutes War is an example of colonial power and destruction. But it ended generations of slavery in Zanzibar. So, fellow nerds, I want to ask you a question. What would you do if you were in place of the Sultan on Zanzibar, given an impossible ultimatum? What would you do? Thank you for watching. Please go watch my Galactus versus... Sorry, not Galactus. Please go watch my Thanos versus Darkseid video. Link in description. And thank you so much for watching. You have no idea how much each and every one of you mean to me. Thank you, we are nerds, and thank you for listening to my ramblings.